welcome to episode 4 of In Deep with Dan, my show. Episode 4. Wow. To be honest, I didn't know if I had the grit to keep this up, but my family, and especially my wife Kristie, with 2 vowels at the end of her name, has been very supportive. Not only have I stuck it out, but I've been having a blast. And that's in no small thanks to her cutting me the room to spend the time on this show. It's a passion project. I'm not making any money. It's just something creative I want to do, and she's been there for me, and I really thank her a lot. This week's guest is Kristie Reams. Why am I having my wife on the show? Well, a couple of reasons. First, I've had some nice comments from some of you listeners who noticed me relaxing, showing more of myself as the episodes have gone by. I really appreciate those comments. I'm taking them to heart. You've expressed that it's more fun when I just be me and not try to be anyone else. So I too realize this. It's a lot easier just to be me than to be someone else. So I will do that. Yeah, so I get that, and I couldn't agree more. So I figured what better way to let you in on the real me than to invite you into my marriage. Yeah, you're up in here. You're welcome. Those of you who know me or who know Kristie or who know both of us have had probably any number of experiences of being witness to how we interact. Some of them may have been comfortable. Some of them may have been funny, but they have probably been memorable. Okay, so we're just doing that on the show this week. The second reason for having her here is I am both proud of her for handling some very serious healthcare news as she handles everything. Just first star to the right and straight on till morning. She just plows ahead and deals with things. Engage, she just boom, she goes for it. As well, she's also been my role model to teach me to care about my own health and break my own cycle of laziness and overeating and eating to fulfill some sort of emotional need over the years in times of, career-related stress or relationship issues or whatever we've had going on. So I thank her very much for that. So it's a tale of a health scare, weight loss, and a marriage that's coming up on 25 years in a couple of months, with 2 best friends who drive each other freaking crazy. Riveting TV, man. We're on TV. But before we get to the interview, a couple of notes. Over my past week, I've started to update you people on what has happened since the last episode. This week, the value of preparation. A lesson that I learned. So I had a major audio glitch when attempting to perform an interview this past week. About for the first 10 minutes or so, my guest had troubles on their end. And then for the next 20 or 30 minutes, they put up with me very patiently while I struggled with problems on my side. I ended up calling time of death on the interview and just working a couple more hours on fixing my issue. I finally had to order some equipment to fix the problem, and it fixed it, and I'm ready to go forward. So that's great. You know who you are, interviewee, and we will be rescheduling very soon. That interview differed from past interviews on the show in the method of how we connected, and the problem was ultimately with the PC I was using as a recording device to ingest the audio from my mixer, and all of that is fixed, as I mentioned, so that's great. For the episode you're listening to now, we had 2 mics here in the studio. Luckily, I had purchased another mic just in the event someone actually wanted to come in and talk, and it worked great. So that's what you'll be listening to in just a moment. But I now have the ability to record in 3 different scenarios. So I can record in the studio with microphones. I can record, use one of the online services where everything is recorded somewhere else and then I download it, or the more common scenario of I record both sides of the conversation on my equipment here. And that's what had failed earlier this week, and now I can do. So I feel like I'm a podcaster finally. And I'm not just a poser. I am a poser, but I'm also a podcaster. I'm a pod poser. Okay. What else happened? I hope you had a great weekend. Mine was pretty good. My wife and daughter and I went to see Crazy Rich Asians. I love the movie. prior to going in. I didn't know that Awkwafina was in it. I fell in love with her as an actor as the video game clerk in Hulu's Future Man, which I love that show. And she kills it as Rachel's college friend in Crazy Rich Asians. So check that out before it leaves the theater. It's really good. I figured the movie would be good, but it was actually better than I anticipated it would be. It was a lot of fun. It's been raining pretty much nonstop here in southeast Wisconsin and northern Illinois since the last episode. Rivers are high, furniture and basements are floating high. Nasty. I'm sorry for anyone in low-lying areas and any damage you have to your homes and property. And hang in there, guys. Okay, on with the interview. Thanks for finding the show or returning to the show. I love your comments. I'm looking forward to reading some of them on the podcast in the near future. Drop me a note at indeepwithdan@gmail.com or leave me an anonymous message via the contact page at indeepwithdan.com. If you're shy or if you're a cowardly troll. I don't equate shy people with being cowardly trolls, but both of you types can make use of anonymous communication methods in about the same way. So more power to you. Just communicate whatever you need to do, as long as it's nice. So that sort of segregates you cowardly trolls out a little bit. But if you've got to be a cowardly troll, hit my page and send me a message. Okay? All right. Also, you shy people, do that too. Primarily you shy people. I want to hear what you have to say. All right. So Kristie Reams, what can I say? She's been both my rock and the bane of my existence pretty much from the moment we met back in 1990. We've been through it all together. We developed careers. We raised 2 great kids and are well on the way to considering the 3rd one raised. We grew together. I mean, really, really grew together. Lots and lots of pounds. Us. We got rid of a ton of them recently. I talked with her about that and maybe some other stuff, but mostly that. Enjoy her. Come into our marital bliss. Okay, so thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Glad to be here in the basement.
Yes. Oh, in the basement. I like that.
In the finished basement. I have heat and everything. I'm feeling very, very happy.
I'm glad. What would you like to talk about today?
So many things to talk about. Well, let's talk about what brought me to today. What happened 5 months ago on May 9th.
Yeah, let's talk about that. As I recall, I got a text message at a certain time of day, right? And it said, hey, I got some news.
No, it was, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so I went to the doctor on Wednesday, May 9th, and I just had just a crappy season of not feeling well, lots and lots of sinus infections, and just feeling overly So I decided that, you know what? First time in 25, 30 years, I should probably have a physical. So I went into Pro Healthcare and saw Dr. Jick, who is awesome. And she said, what brings you here? And I said, I feel like crap and have tons of sinus infections. And since I haven't done this in 30 years, let's go for it. And she said, all right. So she took my blood pressure, and right then and there, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. Everyone always asks me, what was your blood pressure? Because, people don't know a lot of people don't know what's good and what's bad.
I certainly did not.
Yeah. And now there are certainly people that will disagree with this. I am not a medical professional, so I'm just going to tell you what I was told. I was told that normal, quote unquote, blood pressure was 120/80. And mine was hovering usually about 145/150/95. So not great.
And where is that on? Is that like super bad or?
It's high blood pressure bad. It's not just, you need to watch it and maybe cut down on salt and get your ass moving. It's more, do everything you can to get this better. And so that fateful day on May 9th, the date will always be burned into my brain. Dr. Jick also wanted to do lab work to see what else was going on inside.
Gotcha. Very good.
Okay, so got the lab results back and, had the blood draw. When I was done, I looked like I had been a heroin user. Now, at the time, you said, no, that isn't actually what it looks like, but I was black and blue on both arms. And Mother's Day, I was checking on my chart to see the test results, and it said in big black letters, you have type 2 diabetes. So not only that week was I diagnosed with high blood pressure, that wasn't a big surprise because, I kind of knew it was higher than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the type 2 diabetes diagnosis, which kind of hit me across the forehead. I just did not expect that whatsoever.
So what is type 2? What are the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes?
Well, as I understand it, type 1 is something that will often start when you're a child. And it really, as I understand it, doesn't have anything to do with lifestyle choices whatsoever. Whereas type 2 diabetes, there's definitely a hereditary factor involved, and there was in my case. But it also can be caused by poor lifestyle living, poor lifestyle. In my case, I had gotten very, very lazy, as you know, and a bit of a couch potato. And probably while on the couch, probably eating potatoes. So I had the double whammy of bad lifestyle and bad eating habits.
Yeah. So basically you got a call to action, a wake-up call.
That wake-up call, that Wednesday, I decided right then and there when I was getting this just horrible news about the high blood pressure and how morbidly obese I was and all of this, I decided right then and there I needed to change. And what was different this time was I was scared for my life. It was no longer vanity or trying to be some societal norm, so to speak. It was truly, I need to get my shit together or I could potentially die.
Yeah.
And to be clear, Dr. Jack was not saying, you're going to die, Kristie. It was just, it really, for the first time in my life, hit me because, doctors, I always knew they wanted me to lose weight because they'd say, well, you need to walk. And are you walking? And it was always talking about walking. But no one said, you know what, you need to get moving because you're really fat and you're unhealthy. So I decided right then and there I was going to do, small steps and hope that they led to bigger steps. A couple things I knew I could do is set a goal for myself to walk at least 6 days a week, at least 30 minutes a day. I knew I could do that, and I knew I could cut out sugar, and I could drastically cut out carbs. And so that's what I did.
I'm not happy any of that happened to you, but I'm happy after the fact that it not only, your wake-up call was also my wake-up call. And what I felt I had to do was support you in that and
and you definitely did. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And make sure not to bring in garbage, meaning empty carbs. My favorites were things like Doritos. I thought my health food were peanut butter stuffed pretzels. Like, oh, that must be good.
Yeah.
Where it was basically, I thought it was a peanut butter delivery mechanism. It was basically a pretzel delivery system covering peanut butter.
Yeah, and probably processed, as processy as possible peanut butter at that. Yeah, we were both bad.
Yeah, and I was not safe around any Halloween candy, as the girls would attest to, because it would disappear very quickly by
Absolutely.
November 10th.
Yeah. And I don't think you'll mind me saying last year you went out and bought Lila a big bag of candy because you ate a ton of hers and you felt bad.
Bag.
It was a replacement bag. So we were both very guilty. And I take full ownership of my bad habits, but I had the double whammy of bad genetics with bad habits. So at the age of 47, I got this great diagnosis. But I say great sarcastically, but I do mean in a way it's great because it made me change what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely. And me too. And so I enjoyed the finding our way through this and finding things that we could eat. And we each have a little different approach pretty much the same, but we tweaked it a little bit differently. I go for meat, protein, some cheese in there. For a while, I went with very little elk.
Were you eating elk?
Yes.
What was happening?
Little tiny elks are the best little elks because they're not as stringy as you'd think. They're lean like venison, but tiny elk.
Isn't it like chicken? Isn't that what everything's compared to?
Yeah, but this not with the elks because the little you can use their little tiny antlers to pick your teeth when you're.
Ew.
Yeah. But anyway, little elves. Those were nummy, but those were Keebler, and I had to cut those out.
Anyway,
what the hell was I saying?
No one knows.
Oh, I know. Okay, so meat sticks, cheese, and then I introduced salads and, with little tomatoes and all that. And you brought all that kind of stuff in.
You're like, what are you eating? Yeah. It's not in a processed bag, because that's how the meat sticks are.
Right. So and then your trick of putting like sandwich turkey slices on things. I had already known about wrapping a cheese stick in a little piece of turkey, but now with the highly decreased appetite, then it's easier to kind of blend in sandwich meats into a salad and be full. Whereas before, that would just get me going. That would like be the start of my night.
Yeah, you were pretty incredible when you started cutting back because it seemed, at least from my side, it seemed like you went from stuffing your face to just eating a couple of meat sticks a day. And I'll admit I was, jealous. As your wife, I support you and I'm encouraged by you. So please don't read that poorly.
Oh, I'm making a list and holding it against you.
Excellent. That'll make the next 25 years of marriage even more awesome. More ammunition. Yes. But yeah, so that was it was hard for me. But my thing was I learned to absolutely love salads. And that was kind of nuts to me because I've been fortunate that I like things green. People are like, I don't like vegetables. I love vegetables. In fact, probably part of my problem is I love all food. There's very few things that I won't eat. But I'm also kind of lazy in the kitchen, as you know. So I was like, and I need to be exercising. I need to do this. I need to do that. Well, then I found at Culver's, they have this strawberry field salad in the summer, which is chicken and strawberries, go figure, and pecans and blue cheese.
Now, Culver's is a Wisconsin, little bit Illinois, little bit Minnesota restaurant chain that's kind of like an upscale White Castle. I mean, think of it
I haven't been to White Castle, so I'll just take your word on it.
But I wanted to tell my international subscribers.
I forgot we're so bougie. You have international podcasts.
Hopefully this will get outside of this basement. So I wanted to kind of, let it flow. But do go on.
Okay. So I found this fabulous salad and I loved it. Well, anyone that knows me for more than 2 minutes knows I'm frugal. And that doesn't mean I'm a bad tipper or anything like that. It just means I don't like to spend money when I think it's not necessary. So I was like, $9 a lunch? Like, I think I lasted 3 days and I was like, I got to figure something out. Well, about that time, I found out that Meijer, which is a local grocery store for all of your out-of-town listeners.
I can teach you no more.
Anyway, so Meijer has this fruit and fruit salad. In fact, it does have pecans. It does not have blue cheese. But I went as far as going and getting the blue cheese. I buy buckets of blue cheese at Costco. Yeah. And I have my salad dressing at work. And it's all individual. And I've even gotten to the point where when Meijer has these salads on clearance, but they still look good. So it'll be like, Best by, October 10th. And it's October 10th. I'll look at it and be like, yeah, for $2, this thing looks good.
And, it's interesting because your discovery of that and then my also finding the equivalent salad at Walmart or at Aldi, both discount supermarket chains.
Right.
There's no one on the planet who doesn't probably know both of those chains, so whatever. But and your mention of being lazy in the kitchen, everything that we were geared toward was consuming mass amount of carbohydrates.
Right, because it was easy and cheap.
Yeah, your recipes were fantastic, but it'd be like lasagna or, stuff, just lots of noodles.
Yeah, I love noodles.
Yeah. And so I was actually surprised how easy it is to eat cheaply and eat well if one is willing to give up variety.
That is true. However, probably because you don't deal with the budget much, you don't see it like I do. It is much more expensive, and we're not even buying organic this and that, and which is a whole nother subject for another podcast.
Saying, like for lunch, I can buy a salad for $3, or like a really big one for $4. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you were spending more than that before. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying we're spending more. However, not in total dollars, because with the two adult daughters being at school right now, the net amount that we spend on food isn't the same. But I can totally understand if you're spending $6 or $7 on lunch at a fast food restaurant, which I was too. I was the morbidly obese one.
I was up there.
Switching to salads at, even the expensive one at $5 was quite the deal. But yeah.
Definitely. And it certainly the power of volume. I mean, maybe the same weight volume of carb to a salad clearly would be cheaper. Mm-hmm. But cutting the total intake down to a quarter or less of what it used to be, there's still a cost savings there. And if one kind of thinks about it as, I want to lose weight over time, and it did take a while, and we can talk about that in a few moments, but not a drastic, huge plummet decrease of starvation, but a couple of pounds a week, ideally.
Right.
It might slow down to a pound a week for a week or whatever, but the steady decline and the finding that balance point of maintenance where you're not gaining or losing, you're just living. Mm-hmm. But, and what I found too is when I would stand up, and I mentioned this before off mic, I would stand up and be faint. So I realized, okay, I'm not eating enough. I'm not intaking enough. I have to add a little bit back in every day to stop that happening. And then I found my sweet spot.
Right. I remember a very clever woman. I don't remember her name, that said, Dan, eat more. If you're feeling faint when you get up, you don't have enough calories. Because when you started...
You may have said that, but I was probably passed out.
Yeah.
So I give you full, as I would give any credit to any ambulance driver. I'm sure they say lots of cool stuff, but people just don't know it because they're on the gurney.
So, the eating was definitely a part of it. And I don't want any of your listeners to think that I'm saying all you need to do is eat salads and don't eat carbs and don't eat sugar. That is what I came to like, and I felt good eating it. And when I say no sugar, I mean no added sugar. Like if there happened to be some sugar and some light mayo I had, I wasn't going, oh, I'm off plan. I wasn't crazy. But even sugar in ketchup or, obviously no chocolates, no sweets, and staying away from junk food was huge. But then the other thing that was huge was getting off my butt. And that's where the exercise came into play.
Sure.
Now, we're fortunate that we live in a neighborhood where there's lots of hills, as you know. So just a leisurely walk when you're, very unhealthy, and get your heart rate up. So I started, I had my Apple Watch, and so I would just make sure that I was going at least 30 minutes. And I'll be honest, it was at least 30 minutes a day. So if I was able to have a 10-minute walk at work, then I had to make sure and get at least a 20-minute walk at home. Now, that's not to say, if I was at the 30-minute mark and I was across the neighborhood, I was calling you to come pick me up. I just looked at it like, cool, I've already gotten 30 minutes in. Let's see what else I could do, what I can do. What more can I do? And we had a beautiful summer. So I just kept going and going and going. And then I had a goal with myself that if anyone asked me for a walk, I would not refuse it. And that was you, or that was the rescue dog, Ella, who loves to take walks.
Certainly, you have much more of a tendency to want to get off your ass than I do. So you started and are still much better at it than I am, because I can find an excuse to sit in front of a keyboard or a controller as quick as anyone that I know. However, you inspired me to do that, and going for walks with you is so much fun. The other day we were at the store and I was just like jumping around, bouncing from aisle to aisle like a bunny, because I'm like, wow, I'm 33 pounds lighter and I have the energy now. This body has been not taken care of, but now it can afford the extra bounce in the step from what used to be, on each leg as it impacted the floor. So I enjoy that. I've now joined your health club. I am looking forward to taking the combat classes. Probably be talking about that in future episodes of the show.
I hope so. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I think it should be neat. They have one which is based on, I think it's a blend of yoga, kickboxing, and taekwondo. So very aerobic.
That sounds like a combo.
Yeah, it should be fun. And I don't think it's quite like an octagon. One person leaves, two people go in. Not in that order.
Yeah, I don't know.
I hope it's
completely lost
me.
me.
It's not a death match.
Well, one would hope not.
Yeah.
This isn't like some Hunger Games thing.
Yeah. I mean, I was hoping it'd be kind of like that.
Well, if it was a Hunger Games thing, I should have started before I started losing weight, because then I would last longer just on, fat storage.
Yeah, you could just hide under a rock. It could be
I could have just done that.
Battle Royale type game where you're the last person standing. You just let everybody else duke it out. Mm-hmm. And then when Katniss is tired, you just go in, you eat her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of gross, but I wasn't to the point I was, cannibalizing.
Yeah. Well, it was a matter of time, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm
were you afraid when you were sleeping?
Yeah, a little bit. I was shopping bed firewalls online. Some alarms.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Have Alexa protect me somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cameras.
Yeah. So I don't know. But
anyway.
Yeah. So it was the diet. It was the exercise. And fortunately, things started progressing to the point where I was shocked that I was losing weight, because, as you know, I would say, oh, well, I would have to eat on the treadmill, was what I always said. As long as I only ate my meals while I was running on the treadmill, I could lose weight. And honestly, I'm still not convinced if I hadn't given up carbs for the most part, I could have lost weight. Like, pretty sure that would have been hard. But I'm thinking, again, I'm not a doctor, or I don't even play one on TV. But my thought is that my body, is being that I was predisposed to type 2 diabetes and now just plain have it, that I had such a natural sensitivity to sugar and carbs, that removing those from my diet was really required to get healthier. Who knows? I'm not going to start chowing them just to see.
Yeah.
Because I feel great.
Yeah, that's a point I hadn't really thought about, is that not only did, 3 Parka pocketfuls of little Milky Way bars add to my general fat per day.
And you have no listeners left, because they're all grossed out by us by now. They're like, what is this crap I'm listening to?
But no, they know that already if they're a returning listener. But,
that's true.
But could that have been shielding the body from its ability to be more, effective? Is that what you're getting at, or more efficient?
I'm thinking, for me, not for you.
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, yeah. My body doesn't know what to do with sugar. And I think it's been like that a long time. I mean,
mine knew exactly where to put it, between my nipples and my waistline.
And that was the only place. Oh my gosh, so funny. Yeah, no, I got it everywhere. From my fingers to my toes. I remember when I found my ankles. I remember that. It was the craziest thing.
It was.
So when I first was diagnosed with high blood pressure, the doctor gave me basically water pills, as I understand it, a diuretic. Because I was all ballooned up. I mean, not just fat, but also on water.
Should this be on an adult tagline?
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. Good try, though. You're going for that bigger audience base. You'll have to get your girlfriend on for that one. No, so I started. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm cutting it out. It's my show.
You don't want your girlfriends to be jealous. Okay. Oh. So I started taking this diuretic, which I was allergic to. That was a whole nother crazy thing. But I lost, 9 pounds in water weight in like 3 or 4 days. Yeah. And I remembered I was sitting on the couch, probably after one of my 20-minute walks, and it was heavy breathing. I'd be like, I can see my ankles. I'm like, I just thought my ankles were super fat. I had no idea I still had ankles.
Oh, yeah. And the point there is they weren't fat. They were just bloated with water.
Right. Yeah. So that's what that was all about. But so I was super allergic to the diuretic because it had sulfa in it. And I had told the doctor that it's clearly on my chart that I'm allergic to sulfa. And the pharmacist even said when she was not prescribing it, but filling the prescription, she's like, "Oh, I thought you were allergic to sulfa." And I said, "I am." And she's like, "Well, these pills have a sulfa-like compound in them or something like that." I'm trying to sound smart. Did I sound smart?
You sounded amazingly smart. And the Nobel Prize for medicine goes to Kristie with 2 vowels at the end of her name.
Thanks. I couldn't do it without the little people in my life.
I couldn't have done it without the little elks.
Those little elks, they'll get you every time. Anyway, so even the pharmacist called the doctor and said, Kristie is allergic to sulfa. Are you sure you want her to take these diuretic pills? And the doctor's like, yep. So I got super sick. Yeah. And I went in. So I started taking those like the end of the week. And I was scared, remember? So I just kept taking them because the doctor said you should take them. And it was Mother's Day. And I was so sick. I felt horrible. And we went to my parents' house. And then that Monday, I got ready for work because I'm like, dang it, I'm going to work. And I marched right into my boss's office. I started crying. I'm like, I feel so horrible. And I told him everything, about my diagnoses and stuff because we're also friends. And he looked at me and he said, "Kristie, go home." He said, "You could have texted me." I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, but I appreciate the work ethic.
Yeah, well, I felt bad.
I would hire you.
Thanks. It's just for what, I guess, is the question.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I currently have no openings. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yeah. But I'll keep a copy of your resume on file.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. So.
Yeah. I have here at the top of the list, can see ankles.
Yeah, yes. And they're quite nice now, actually. So. Yes, I have a nice little shorty socks on now so I can flash my ankles to people,
Oh, I'm all flustered now.
I know. Yeah. I'm wielding power now in the form of nice looking ankles. So, yeah, absolutely.
You'll do well in fully covered countries where ankles are, fetish time.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. See, I have options.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh,
That's
know.
Good.
I never take you for granted because of those damn ankles.
Exactly. So anyway, but I guess to sum up this whole thing, it was just continually getting out and walking. And I learned to love walking, and in addition to loving salads. And so just kept going, and slowly the weight was coming off. And slowly I was having to start replacing clothes because the first thing other than the ankles to get to normal size was my hips and everything from all the walking. So I was having pants like start to fall down. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. A couple of weeks ago, I went and basically replaced almost all my work clothes because I was... Okay, so pretty funny story. This was a couple weeks ago. I work in insurance, and I am in this little kind of like a lobby area. It's a very small office. And I had gone in and I think I had talked with my boss, and I came out and, well, you don't because you don't wear skirts, but I kind of pressed.
Well, not while you're awake, but in this very room.
Yes.
Well,
okay. Mind. Well, no one needs to know about that. That can be your little secret.
Sure.
And now the internet secret.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so I was kind of smoothing my skirt in the back, and it had like an elastic waist to it. And as I'm smoothing out my skirt falls below my butt and almost hits the floor. And luckily there was no one there. There were no customers. Everyone was in their offices. It was just me giggling to myself because I didn't even have a female coworker to share this with. I couldn't go and run into one of my boss or my coworker they're both men and say, "Oh, my skirt fell off," and they'd be like, "Why are you telling me this? You are so weird." But I think I texted you and I said,
did, yeah.
I said, "Guess what? I know I said I wasn't buying any clothes and I wasn't doing this," and I'm like, "I'm going and I am buying work clothes because this is ridiculous. I'm flashing people."
Yeah,
so
they'll do anything for a sale.
Yes. So. But that was super fun going shopping.
Oh, yeah.
It was
sure.
like, wow. I used to, I loved shopping when I was younger, then I hated it. And now I'm like loving it again. So,
well, it's different shopping out of need and then as a reward for having done such a great achievement other than just to fill a dark and empty void in your soul.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't like shopping, period. Empty, whole, or none, but other than online. But you helped me out because now I've had to get new clothes as well. You've helped me do that. And it is, I admit, it's fun. It's fun to come out of the dressing room and have you say, "Oh, yeah, that stuff is a good fit." And I was kind of astonished that the size actually worked.
Right.
And it actually worked well. Now I also have a distance to go yet, but I'm very happy with I had to get a new belt. So because I had run out of holes on the belt, and the belt looked like it had been in some kind
war.
of, it was in war. I think it had been used a few times as a tourniquet. Maybe it was used to fashion some sort of the thing they put the bodies on to tow them out. These like those little sleds that they make, and they.
Oh my gosh!
You know what I mean? 2 poles and my belt.
I don't know. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't think of the word. Gotta love the late 40s.
But,
oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm one hole away from needing a new belt. So.
Nice.
And I know I was talking about my hips and legs being the first to thin down. And I kept saying, "Why won't my stomach get any smaller?" I mean, there was one point that I told you if I wore any type of top that was fitted, I would look like I was pregnant, like 6 months pregnant, because everything from the hips down was so toned up compared to the rest of me.
Sure.
So I didn't love that, but I also knew it wasn't like I was going to die. The fat was going to have to come off somewhere. It just wanted to come off from my hips and butt and legs first. So, and now it's starting to come off everywhere else, which is awesome. But yeah, I've lost 42 pounds at last check, and I want to lose 26 more.
Well, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. So yeah, on the another day, I think on Tuesday, it will be 5 months, but it's been a five months well spent.
Yeah. So when did I start with you to bring it back to me?
Yeah. Well, it should be about you. Well, honestly, how I remember it, definitely not I was at least doing this a month.
Okay.
And then there was still some like very sporadic Taco Bell and stuff sprinkled in.
We have a relationship.
And
they're not a sponsor of this show, but they could be, because they are the only fast food restaurant that passes my muster.
Culver's does, doesn't it? Or do you
Only
not
for
consider
salads.
Oh,
But
okay.
a grande burrito supreme from Taco Bell has been known to revive people from the dead.
Yeah.
It's that good.
I don't know. Well, I don't do that. But, you used to say, and I think it's very, very true, that you had to work that hard to be that fat. Now, for your listeners, you weren't that fat, but you did try really hard to be fat.
I did. I did.
And I know it's not as easy for you to slim down as it was in years past, but
well,
you've got a pretty amazing metabolism for for your age.
Yeah. Well, I figured, Lazy Boy worked so hard to design that recliner that not to fill it to capacity was a crime.
Yes. Yeah, we both took it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have so many things that worked for me. As far as you were a huge support, even when you weren't drastically changing how you were eating, you were very encouraging, and you kept the crap out of the house. You didn't bring chips in the house. You didn't bring any junk food or sugar. You didn't say, let's have dessert. Let's go out for ice cream. And so that really, really helped. And what helped was about the time I was thinking, this isn't working. I feel like crap. This is never going to work. You would say something just super encouraging. I think one of them that was super funny was, you're going to make type 2 diabetes look good. And, that's so sweet, and I took it as it was intended. And
you can be the centerfold for diabetes.
Exactly.
Calendar.
Exactly. So it was things like
Look
that.
at those ankles.
Be like, you're not snoring as horribly as you normally do. Now, Lila, after that, told me, yeah, you snore a lot. I'm like, oh, yeah, I still do. Okay, well, that's true. But it was cut down, I guess, a little bit.
That's a choice now.
It's not a choice.
No, you just do it to be mean.
To torment you in your sleep.
No, I can vouch for it that, no, there are a couple of little sounds here and there. It's probably more related to your insistence that we sleep with a fan, turbine engine.
It is. It's a really strong one.
And I'll put it on low. I'll come to bed if I come to bed early that night. And then all of a sudden I hear click, click. It just ramps up. Then I wake up and I'm, reaching for the Kleenex.
Yeah. Well, I want you to clear out those nasal passages. I do it for you, sweetie. Totally.
I do think the fan has something to do with respiratory issues, whether it's, yeah, it does. I think it does.
Yeah.
There are electronic solutions for noise. They're called sound machines.
Yes. And
or
I
phones.
don't like the sound machines that we've had in the past. And I know there's one on Amazon that's highly rated, but remember I mentioned how frugal I am? It's $50. The one that's actually a fan encased, so it wouldn't blow out air and get you all chapped and angsty. So I should probably just bite the bullet and buy this stupid machine that would make us happy.
I love how it's a fan with no air.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. My brother has one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, you're bougie.
Yeah. Is it on a big pole in the middle of the room? And it's just like, oh, man, can you aim that thing?
No,
okay.
that's for his dancing. This has nothing to do with that.
Oh,
this is,
okay,
probably a 10-inch by 10-inch cube plug-in fan encased. So
knowing him, it's got some intelligence built in. It's connected to the home. He can probably start it from the office or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
Brian, do you need me to buy you another fat bike? And then he'd be like, no. Because he's really into biking.
Yeah, but who were you there? You were your sister?
I was the fan.
Okay, so it's at home
So,
in that scenario.
and yeah, the fan's in his bedroom.
Okay.
I guess kind of like a Siri
Sure.
or,
Alexa,
Echo or whatever. I don't
Google.
know. Yeah. Those, techie things.
Yeah.
And, I guess I was kind of thinking it was his bitch. I don't know.
Whoa. Yeah.
Making fan noises for him and ordering bike supplies. I may be onto something.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my thought.
All right. It's good. Mm-hmm. One thing I didn't mention about the whole weight loss thing is I made a commitment to myself that I didn't care if any meal tasted good so long as I lost the weight I wanted to lose and got to feeling, more importantly, the way I wanted to feel. And I've told a few people that, and I said, I don't care if I have to eat salads and vitamin supplements and just the same thing often, or the same small series of things, like 3 or 4 things or whatever over time, because the enjoyment of food is an enjoyment I can replace with the enjoyment of being able to, walk the neighborhood 3 times and not get winded. Or,
right.
or, walk through a store.
Well, you hear that a lot. I'll hear that. I think there may even be a bumper sticker. It's like, no food tastes as good as being skinny feels.
Okay.
And
I'm not even talking about skinny. I just mean...
Right. Well, I'm just telling you what the bumper sticker,
gotcha.
what that... And I'm not saying either one of us is skinny. We're just trying to be healthful or, healthy and eat healthfully. Yeah. But that's kind of the same idea. And fortunately for me, I like the healthful food, so
me too.
I seriously think sometimes people are, now maybe this is me being paranoid, but I sometimes think people think I'm just trying to do some like brag or something when I say I love salads. No, I seriously love salads.
Yeah.
And I don't just have cucumbers on them.
Right.
I mean, I have cheese, I have nuts, I have dressing, I
Yeah.
have, it's basically a way to get nutrition in my face, and it tastes good and it's helpful. So
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that salads don't have to be just lettuce. They can be cheese and all those other things you mentioned, plus the large like cottage cheese size container of blue cheese, crumbled blue cheese that you bought. And you also mentioned nuts. And what got me through the hard times was the purchasing of the big bags of almonds. And I would use those as a snack. Now I've stopped that because now I've stopped snacking. I just don't snack anymore. With the exception of like last night, I was just super hungry, and I don't get hungry all that often, but I came out, I chopped off a piece of cheese on the end of a big block of sharp cheddar cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I got out some turkey. I wrapped one around it, ate it, gave one to our daughter who wanted one. And then I had another half piece of cheese that had fallen off because I had miscut it. And I was done. But before then, I would have a glass bowl of almonds back in the, over the months.
Yeah.
And that, even though it wasn't calorically maybe the best move I could have made, it was certainly the best nutritional move I could have made at that time of night.
Right.
As opposed to a bowl of, M&Ms of the same size.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there were some rough times.
Yeah.
I enjoy walking through the grocery store with you now because I know, even though I was so overweight, I still knew that we weren't eating the way we should be. And then you'd be like, I want this, I want that, I want this. And I would just see the cart just filling with garbage.
It'd be like Gremlins. You turn around and all of a sudden there'd be a bunch of, just a pile of garbage in there. It's like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And I'm like whistling and looking up into the rafters.
What? I just want a treat. And this is for the girls. And I'm like, they don't need a big bag of whatever. So anyway, I'm not trying to be mean to you because
you don't have to try, baby.
It's just natural. So, yeah, but that's kind of where we're at. And, one of the things that people would say is like, well, keep going. And I'm, and I think the big thing, and I know that they're trying to be encouraging, but this is a lifestyle change. And I know I have to prove that to myself. And every single day, it's every single day making good choices and knowing that if some point there's like a fail, and everyone can define their own fails the same way. I'm not here to define what a fail is, but where you eat something that you don't think you should have, or we eat too much, then it's okay. Now, what am I going to do next time? It's not beating myself up over what happened. It's how am I going to move forward? Because I think in the past, I felt like I had to be perfect. And believe me, I have been near perfect, but I felt like I had to be perfect. And then if I wasn't, then I would just give up completely. And that's not healthy.
Yeah. And what helps not beat yourself, or what helps me not beat myself up, is I think it was a week ago or so, I had what I considered at the time my first calculated going off the rails move, which was I had a plate of tortilla chips with some salsa on it and some cheese in the microwave. So like just,
basically
ghetto
nachos. Yeah.
Just there they are.
Because we're so bougie.
Yeah. But I knew, based on not technically calorie counting, but knowing exactly where I was in that day and where I was in that week, just from being so attuned to it, that I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm not going to wake up in the morning having lost a pound like I would have on schedule. And I don't care, because I know I'll be exactly the same weight I was when I woke up this morning. And I really wanted this. It was 4 or 5 months of not having that, whatever it was. 3.
2 weeks. No,
shut up.
No, I know what you're saying, and that was in the time when
and you were
literally losing a half a pound a day. And
well,
not
2 weeks ago, I wasn't.
No, but maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the hell? How can you lose a half a pound a day?
Well, I was starving myself.
Yes.
For the most part.
So, but I'm glad that you're eating now.
Yeah. So
it's all figuring it out.
To me, it's like cliff diving with a parachute. You jump off, nothing's really slowing you down except your own, terminal velocity and your wind resistance. And then when you're just about to hit bottom, you open that chute, have a couple more calories, and you're good to go.
Yeah, this is what I have to deal with, people. This is my daily Dan.
Yeah, but it's not a roller coaster, because now I've hit the point where I'm just, walking down the rest of the trail to get down the mountain.
Yeah, you're really, really close to a completely, quote unquote, normal BMI.
Yeah.
So I'm super happy for you.
And that would be a body mass index?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think most people know that. Yeah, like a BMI, I think it's under 25, and you just Google it and you can figure out for your height what your your BMI is now and what healthy range is. There's healthy, and then there's overweight, and then there's morbidly obese.
Nice.
Morbidly obese.
Yeah.
So I started in morbidly obese and got to overweight, and now I'm getting close to being normal. So we'll see. But I haven't been this weight since before I got pregnant with our first child.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like I was skinny then. I'm not trying to say, look at me, I'm so great. It's just I haven't seen numbers like these in over 2 decades.
Sure.
So it's pretty exciting.
It is.
It is. I do want to mention one podcast. I hope that's okay.
Please.
When I started this whole journey, I was searching on weight loss on my podcast app, and losing 100 pounds with Fit and Fat. It's like PHIT-N-PHAT. Anyway, her name is Corinne, and she lost 100 pounds like 14 years ago by making small changes. She does not recommend low carb, no sugar, anything like that. So,
would she and I be at odds?
Yes, very much
Okay.
so. Very much so. She would not have agreed with the meat stick diet because she feels
Fair enough,
she
Corinne.
feels like that's not healthy and not a solution for lifelong weight loss. That being said, she even says this on her podcast, she's 90% about the mental game of losing weight. And that's what really helped me. So when I was on all these walks, I would listen to podcast after podcast after podcast about not eating when you're not hungry and making small changes and just trying to, what's your next best choice? Not beating yourself up. No one's perfect. All of these things, these really positive thoughts and mojo would just kind of get me, keep me going.
Well, I think the only difference between her and me from what you are saying is this, just my rapid approach to the beginning of the series, but everything else, the mental attitude, the lifelong change, the commitment, all of that are things that I've adopted.
Right. Yeah. And what's been most shocking to me is not that you gave up sugar, because you've done that before for months. What I see changing is, like last weekend, it was a beautiful Saturday and in Waukesha, where we live. And I looked at the dogs and I looked at you and I said, today would be a great day to take the dogs to Minooka Park and walk.
Yeah.
And you said, okay. I was like, what?
Let's get out in those woods.
And
let's go walking around.
Yeah, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, were you going to say kidding or something like that? Because that's what I would have gotten in the past, or just a straight out like, why would I do that? I mean, you've literally said things like that to me before. And then when we went, and it was great because yeah. I mean, we're both actually we run races. I just did a Tough Mudder, 26 miles.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just lying through my teeth. Okay. So we really aren't those people.
Rails,
yeah. Anyway, we took Lila, the daughter that's going to be 13, on Wednesday the 10th. So that's exciting. But anyway, she came with us. The 2 rescue pups came with us. And at one point, you were like jogging with our very overweight little Shih Tzu mix. And you guys were looking like you were having the time of your life. And I'm like, what world am I in? Because this is not my world.
Yeah.
So Ella and I chased you. And
Ella is the other dog.
Yes, the little poodle mix that we rescued. And we beat you. But the only reason we beat you was because we didn't tell you we were racing or where we were racing to.
That's true. You did take a turn.
Yeah. Ella and I
90-degree
made
turn.
The rules.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we didn't fall over doing that 90-degree turn, did we?
No, you didn't break those fine ankles.
Yeah, those slim ankles. So yeah, that was when I knew that you were changed forever. Was when I saw you move.
Yeah,
and
well, I used to enjoy running. So
but not when I knew you.
I understand. Yeah,
right. I mean, that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But I remember it, and now the muscle memory has surfaced because it was under there pulsating away, lost at the bottom of the sheets somewhere under everything. But anyway. Yeah. No, that's good.
So needless to say, no surgery, no special pills, we're not paying anyone anything. We're, other than the doctor,
right.
My doctor, but I'm under no special medications for this or anything. And we've done it on our own.
And the takeaway to me is 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is not a lot of time.
Right.
If you look at it, that you're going to lose a pound or 2 a week, there are 52 weeks in a year.
Right.
So the math is simple. I mean, there is no downside to just taking it easy, maybe cutting your portion in half of whatever you're eating. And this is for people who care about losing weight. If you don't I'm not talking to you. Yeah, it doesn't. I will not talk to you. I meant right now in this context.
Right.
What I'm saying.
They've already tuned out, so it's all good.
Well, maybe, but maybe they're thinking.
Maybe they're thinking. Well, maybe they're already running marathons and are like, you know what? Maybe they're going to contact you and say, I want to be on your show because I want to take you guys to the next level. So you guys can be like doing 5Ks and half marathons.
I would be up for that. As long as there's time for me to edit my show and go to my day job, then I'll be okay.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and something about family and spending time with you.
Family's overrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about today in the studio?
No, I don't think so. Hopefully, I did take my A1C test blood draw yesterday. So I'm waiting to hear if my blood sugar levels for the last 3 months, that's what the A1C actually tests for, are low enough that I can get off the metformin. So that's the pill I take once a day to control my blood sugar.
Okay.
I don't have to prick or do anything like that. I don't test on a daily basis, but the doctor told me if I could get under a 5 on that A1C test, that she would feel comfortable having me off of metformin. So that's kind of a goal.
Well,
and
good.
Yeah, and I would like to get off the blood pressure medicine as well. We will see. That I don't know, but I have to promise myself that I'm going to get worked up about having to take medicine, because at the end of the day, it's about being healthy.
Right. Yeah.
So if I have to take medicine, that's fine. I don't think I mentioned it before, but type 2 diabetes goes all the way up my maternal side. My mom, my grandma, my great-grandma, and then high blood pressure is everywhere too. Again, goal is to get off this stuff, but we will see. So maybe I'll have a good update in future episodes. Let's hope.
That would be fun. I think a lot of people, well, I know a lot of people are anti-medicine because they think, well, my body should be able to handle it without it. And my opinion on that is not all bodies are made to handle everything, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with taking the appropriate medicine. I understand very much the idea of overuse of pharmaceuticals. That is not an issue. I don't like that. I don't like overprescribing, but
yeah, right.
For goodness sakes, something like this, or for people with, mental conditions where it brings them back to a balance in their life, and they know that if they don't have it, they're not themselves, or what they think of as themselves. All of this stuff, I think it's great. I also think it's great that you want to be off it, but you're not going to get off it unless the doctor says, hey, everything else is working and now you don't need it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. The plan, but I feel good. Well, and that's what it's about.
Absolutely. I will definitely welcome you back.
Okay.
You know where to find me.
In the basement.
In the basement. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you again. So thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me. I like this Dan. This is a nice Dan. So sweet.
So sweet. So, deceptive.
Yes. Well, we always say that our conversation should be recorded, and this one actually was.
Yeah, but this one I won't have to play back and say, see, you said that thing, and you said you didn't say that thing, but I have proof you said it.
Well, that works really swell when one person knows that the conversation's being recorded. So yeah, I just don't agree with that.
All right. Well, until next time. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. All right, I've got laundry to do. See ya.
Go do it. All right, I'm gonna edit this shit. That was our chat. I was serious about how I lost 33 pounds since June. It's October 7th as I say this, but I do know that my method was less than ideal. I don't have an eating disorder. I'm eating fine. I do admit my flying down the side of a mountain without a chute method is probably not ideal nor advised, but I did it. Yes, I did. Some people actually fly down the side of a mountain. Me, I opted to cut my caloric intake and still be able to function at better capacity than before I cut those calories. I am a true daredevil, apparently. Geez, I wish I had time to watch the new season of Netflix's Daredevil. That'd be cool. I love that show. Maybe this winter I'll get to it. What else? The podcast that Kristie mentioned is called Fit and Fat. So that's PHIT-N-PHAT. And it can be found at www.fit-n-fat, spelled with PH's.com. I will include that in the show notes. A shout out to that podcast for helping my wife save her life and have a better life going forward. Until next week, my deeplies, do what you gotta do this week. Make the money, raise the kids, make the love, take the time to connect up with your friends, be there for them. They might need you to go in deep.